All right, guys, to the flip, flop, flippity, flippity, flop, flop, flop. BSDNC is, making excuses for Kamala Harris flip-flopping. She's a flip-flop, flip-flop, flip-flop. That's right, flip-flop, flip-flop. That's right, Kamala, we didn't forget about you. But I find it to be an interesting case study, and shout out to Case Study QB for actually using case study. A case study on how mainstream media excuses Vice President Kamala Harris for flip-flopping. We change our minds all the time based on information. We should normalize changing our mind. Somewhere out there, Crowder is like, don't steal my idea. Let's go ahead and play this.
Going at some of the issues on which she has held different positions. Last hour, we talked in some detail about fracking. She's saying very clearly, no, I'm not going to ban fracking. I said that as the vice presidential nominee in 2020. I'm saying it now as the Democratic nominee for president. We're not going to ban fracking, despite what I said in 2019 during my own primary campaign. Now talking about immigration, that she does not want to decriminalize illegal immigration. So what did you make of that as a voter, an independent voter who is sitting there saying, which version of Vice President Harris should I believe? The one in front of me now or the one who was in the Senate and the one who ran for president in 2019? What she's saying effectively is believe what I'm saying now. Did she make a convincing case?
Yeah, I think she did. And I think sometimes we're not honest with ourselves about, a couple things. First of all, we change our minds all the time based on information, based on where we're sitting, based on whether we're a junior person at the office or the person running the office.
Excuses, excuses, excuses. You know what I hear? Excuses are like a-holes. Everyone got them and they all stink.
Office. And it's actually normal. We should normalize changing your mind. I think sometimes we in journalism shame people kind of figuring out a different view that they might hold and call it flip-flopping and try to kind of catch people in it.
Hey, Danny, don't be mean. Don't call him a Jetsons character. Hey, who taught you how to be mean like this? Where did you learn this from? I know you didn't learn it by watching my show.
In some ways, on some issues, that's a measure of progress. I think we also need to recognize that she is in a different context right now than she was in a 2020 Democratic primary. She's in a general election against an American fascist, Donald Trump. And, let's just be real. Like, you need to sometimes do different things in a general election against a far right candidate than you do in a primary. Like, I don't think we can kind of pretend that's not the case. I think she said something by way of explanation of that actually was quite interesting and moving and goes beyond the familiar kind of tacking to the center. She talked about this notion of consensus when she was kind of pressed on this idea of reversal. And she said, I believe we have to work toward a...
Hold on. Volunteer says politicians change their minds based on what they think will get them elected. Remember, it wasn't too long ago where Barack Obama and even Hill Dog Hillary Clinton herself were against, same-sex couples getting married. Only did they politically evolve to be like, oh, yeah, that'd be great. More votes. They changed their mind for their own self-interest. Okay? Wasn't too long ago, you had a lot of politicians against cannabis legalization. Now, hey, wow, they're for it. Even Boohoo Boma, remember him? The guy who still cries after what the Tea Party did to him? Jeez. It's kind of funny what they did to him, okay? The man still has PTSD. Like, watch. Like, as soon as people say, hey, it's Tea Party, and Bomer's like, oh, what? Where? Off topic. Hey, anytime you get to make fun of and be mean to these politicians, I'll do it. But you didn't learn it from Hardlands Media.
Consensus of how we can solve these things. And I think that kind of allows you to square the circle, which is to say, and this is true for a lot of liberals, in American life, where I think a lot of liberals who would distinguish themselves from progressives actually share progressive ideals in a certain form, share a certain notion of what immigration should be like. Don't think the way the right does about it. Share certain notions about, preferring people to have healthcare to not having healthcare. Where liberals and progressives often differ is like their sense of how much power they're willing to smash to do it, where they think other people are. And so she talked about, look, I've expressed some of these ideals, but we have to be mindful, particularly in the position she's in now, of where other people are, where the country is, what can a large majority of people be led to want and be led to fight for. And I think that's a reasonable position to take, even if it's not, the same as my position on any given issue.
Man, Kit, shout out to Bad Cookies. It's been a while. Mandatory thumbs up for Bad Cookies. Where have you been, sir? Man, Kit, every time I see this dude, I feel like he's going to try and sell me a timeshare. Newsflash, audience. You've already been bought a timeshare, which, by the way, hey, folks, why don't you invest in some timeshare? No, don't do that. Please don't do that. But there's more to flip-flopping because it's not only this George Jetson character, but it's also everybody else. A second case study how mainstream media excuses VP Kamala Harris for doing that flip-flop, flippity, flip-flip-flop, and the flip-flop, flippity-flu. That's right, folks. Our media is just saying it's okay for our politicians to lie. They do it all the time. Just like when you have a partner cheat on you. It's okay if they're sleeping with 10 or 15 or 20 other people. It's okay if they're stealing money out your wallet and out your bank account. It's okay that they cracked your car up. It's okay that they ate all your food out your fridge. It's okay they shit on the floor. It's all right. Just, hey, sometimes people change. Sometimes they don't.
We watched Kamala Harris define the difference, or did she, between her policy position and her values? Because I found that construction pretty interesting in her answer to questions about how she approached, for example, fracking in 2019 versus 2020. And the through line was, well, my value hasn't changed. And I don't know if she really explained what that value was on that issue or these number of issues, or did I miss that?
No, I think so. It's a good question because so my take on this is that was one of many ways that they could have decided to answer the question. But
there is no war in Ba Sing Se. There, okay? There's no war in Ba Sing Se, so everyone stop asking.
Values, like my values haven't changed, speaks to, they can throw out any policy question like, oh, well, you said you were for Medicaid for all.
Right.
Well, I just want to be clear, my values haven't changed. And then you go and you explain what your current policy position is. The values thing is important because it's like, do you believe something different? Like, what do you believe?
Right.
And what do you believe? And that lends to like what policies you would support. I juxtapose it with like Donald Trump. Like, we don't know what, like, I think we know for sure that Vice President Harris cares about working people.
Right,
country, right? Like she cares about working people. She cares about people having a job, being able to, regardless of, where they are in the country, that they should be able to work and that she doesn't want the rug pulled out from under people. I believe that even if I didn't.
Great Britain, stop being mean. Get up and go see the White House counselor, okay? Go. Johnny's saying to you, get up, go see the White House counselor. Chicago, great one. Okay. Wow. My audience. Holy cow. Oh my God. Man, my audience is being mean. My audience is being really mean. Holy cow. Look at this. Hey, you guys, stop. Bad Cookie. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on all of you. Where'd you learn to talk like this? Who taught you how to? My audience is horrifyingly brutal, which I love, but also same time too. This is all BS.
Didn't know her, I would believe that. I honestly don't believe that Donald Trump cares about working people.
That's the value.
Yes, that's the
value portion
thing.
that, okay, so on an issue like fracking or universal health care or any other.
She doesn't care. Listen, she's going to be for the fracking. She is going to not do anything for Medicare for all. Why is it that I remember the early days of the 2020 primary? She mentioned Medicare for all one day, and then what happened the day after? She got to knock the door. Hello, it's Kamala. Who is it? Open the door. Okay. Door opens. Kamala, you must never bring up Medicare for all again or else. Okay. And she changed her opinion the next day. Like that. Thanos snapped out of existence. She ain't going to fight for Medicare for all. Hey, listen, conservatives, please. Don't say that Kamala Harris is going to fight for Medicare for all. She's going to say something, but she doesn't mean it, okay? I can say this with absolute confidence. She ain't going to fight for it. She ain't going to do it, okay? And if they're suckers enough, they're going to believe it, well, then they deserve to be waiting forever because Kamala doesn't care about the people and she doesn't care about workers. Last I checked, don't you all remember when the Biden-Harris administration and our own government forced railroad workers not to go on strike? Does anybody remember this? Or, maybe I'm just going crazy. Maybe I'm actually in a pad cell just yelling in the corner and the doctors are there. That right there is Kit Cabello. He believes he's been cloned 100 times and he hosts a very popular channel during the morning show. What's he doing? He's yelling at the corner. Maybe it's it. Maybe I've finally gone crazy.
A number of issues. She has a core value that's oriented around how that benefits people.
Yes, which allows you
then to sort of move on the position.
Well,
fracking versus no fracking.
Let me just tell you, I don't think banning fracking for anybody that ever wants to run for president, even the people that raised their hand and said that in 2020, in 2019, I don't think that was a good policy.
Right.
Okay. It's not good politics. It's not good policy if you want to ever be viable in Pennsylvania. But if she just did the values thing, I don't think it would have been sufficient. But what she did in that interview is said, because Dana was like, well, what did you get basically she was like, did you get a briefing? Like what happened? What policy happened? And what the vice president said is, look, I kept my word. And when she's like, I cast the tie-breaking vote.
She kept her word for what?
That allowed for more leases for oil companies to drill. And I'm like, you know what? She did do that, and that's a powerful thing.
Yeah, great. Look, right now the whole world's addicted to that Texas tea, but at the end of the day, a lot of those energy boons that we're seeing ain't come back to the American people. Gas prices are still up. Inflation's still crazy. At this point, I'm gonna have to, I have to look at buying maybe a rice cooker because buying bread is expensive now.
Because she could have said, I can't.
She would have said no.
You could say no.
Okay.
I mean, you could say no. I wouldn't have. I wouldn't advise.
You wouldn't advise it,
but you could. But to your point, there's going to be more questions like this that come up, and I know we have to go. But I will just say that this is a lot of people were like, this interview didn't get. Honestly, Dana Bash, I think did.
I think Dana did a great job.
She did a great job,
and I think the arc of the interview was strong for both the interviewer and the interviewee. So kudos to both. So now, Press, y'all you got your little bit of red meat there. You can chew on that for a little bit until you get hungry in the next 24 hours saying she needs to do another sit-down interview because you want the one-on-one. Meanwhile, Donald.
Yeah, that one-on-one interview where she had her support animal there with her. Tim Walz. Yes. Look, folks, there's a lot to be said about Kamala Harris, but her being consistent is not one of those things. And yet the media is making a new story about her, and that's okay for her to flip-flop on issues. Well, politicians do it all the time. I mean, it's nothing new. But what a sight it would be if we actually had someone of integrity, of values. Oh, wait, that doesn't exist in American politics because we have a system that makes sure that doesn't happen. And we have a corporate media that encourages liars to lie to the American people. This is why we need independent media. Does it come as no surprise why you have corporate media, not only here in the USA, but around the world, in all of its iterations, cheering for the censorship of X or Rumble or any other social media platform? Does it come as any surprise to you? Because they like to lie. They've built their whole system of lies. But what have I said about lies? All lies have this one crucial flaw. They all fall apart. And you can make a really well-constructed lie. It could last for a year, 5 years, 10 years, or 100 years. All right, then. Like a great tidal wave change, that house that lies have built will crumble and crash because lies cannot withstand the truth. The mighty, powerful weapon of those of honorable people. The truth will always win.